The tornado that roared into town barely stayed longer than 10 minutes, but it ran up an astonishing tab in cleanup costs. $150 million is the preliminary price tag. This was a day for taking stock. Emergency managers are doing it in teams. They call it assessment. The rest of us call it seeing what's still standing. The governor went out to visit some people whose homes give new meaning to the term open house. The mayor went back to the neighborhood where she lived for 7 years.
So it's hit pretty close to home, literally and figuratively.
Jazz owner Larry Miller gave reporters a tour of the Delta Center. Broken glass, pieces of plaster, and ceiling panels are a tornado's calling cards.
I've been in this building hundreds of times, and to see this kind of destruction here, it's not the building I know and recognize.
Charles Johnston is taking stock of his health. He left his hospital bed to tell us how flying debris sliced an artery in his head, and he lost a lot of blood.
Yeah, there was a piece of the awning on the valet parking at the Wyndham Hotel that was flipping around in the air, and it hit my friend, and then it come back and hit me.
The doctor's assessment of Johnston is that he may get to go home on Friday. But when will everyone get to go back home? Dozens of houses are damaged, some are uninhabitable. Mayor Corradini says on a scale of 1 to 10, cleanup efforts are nearing completion at about an 8. The governor agrees.
Well, I would say that there's an 80-20 kind of relationship here. I think 80% of the repairs will be done in the course of about 4 or 5 days, and I think we're probably well into halfway on the near-term repairs. The other 20% that'll take a long time, we're just getting started on.
The day after the tornado, an event the world is now aware of. Whether grabbing a quick hot dog or sitting at a restaurant, it was the talk of the town.
I think there have been a tremendous amount of people that were very fortunate.
I tell you, it shocks you. It makes you wonder, you know, what can really happen. Right. You know, once Mother Nature takes hold, you know.
Charles Johnston wanted to talk about it too. He lost about half of the blood in his body when flying debris sliced an artery on the side of his head.
Yeah, there was a piece of the awning on the valet parking at the Wyndham Hotel that was flipping around in the air, and it hit my friend, and then it come back and hit me.
The 23-year-old Johnston may go home tomorrow. At the Tool Shed hardware store, Richard Nordhoff talked about helping Avenues area residents who needed batteries by the hundreds, as well as tarps, extension cords, nails. It didn't matter that the store didn't have power.
So we immediately got our trusty flashlight, which we had to use to find the individual items.
So you just escorted them down the aisle?
Yes, we had to because of the darkness.
With the computers down, receipts were handwritten the old-fashioned way. He even accepted IOUs. Despite yesterday's few minutes of terror, there's a much different feeling today. People not affected by the storm look on in amazement, while those who were affected start cleaning up and trying to get back to normal. And it's evident all around town. The repairing, the sweeping, the hauling, and yes, even the talking. It's all part of the healing.
Survival gear is what they sell. Sporting tough tags and stitches, survival stories are what they tell.
Hey, I'm really lucky. The guy that died was 20 feet from me, and there's 2 people with broken necks that were extracted right beside me. So I feel grateful to be walking around.
This afternoon, conventioneers hike into the bombed-out pavilion tents, retrieving their goods. Some lost hundreds of items, others lost irreplaceable prototypes. This weekend, they'll be roughing it, sharing booth space inside the Salt Palace.
As long as things continue to be safe, we will continue to move ahead with the cooperation of everybody in Salt Lake who have really been fantastic during this whole situation.
Outdoor retailers are a hardy lot, used to extreme conditions, but Utah's largest convention with 17,000 visitors has never seen anything like this before. In the hours after the twister blasted through town, organizers considered canceling the event, but the city checked out the damage and this morning announced the show could go on.
We just learned that we have now secured the tents. We're moving that material out onto South Temple so that the retailers can pick them up and move into the Salt Palace.
It's been a scramble to keep the event afloat. Rooms had to be found for the 360 guests booked into the devastated Wyndham Hotel. Some will stay as far away as Snowbird, others will double up. The convention brings in $18 million each year, so it's worth the effort. Still, the timing could not be worse.
From our perspective, having it happen when our largest customers in town, outdoor retailer, was a huge disaster.
Overnight, Steve Ayers become an expert at pulling down trees apart, an act he says is actually pulling his community together.
You know, see them walk their dogs all the time, you never talk to them, you're next to them, cutting down a tree, you get to know them pretty well, and it's pretty neat.
Lamar Smith thinks it's pretty neat too. Volunteers have been glued to his roofless home all day.
I think it's wonderful that so many people care about their neighbors.
Water for you fellas? And then there's Ken Baldridge, a volunteer helping volunteers. He's with the Salvation Army, a group that's keeping the food table stocked and the water bottles brimming, hoping to offer
a little bit of liquid refreshment and a little bit of moral refreshment as well.
Volunteer coordinators are counting on the Red Cross, paid cleanup crews, and folks that live in the ravaged neighborhoods to get Salt Lake back to normal. They say the area is too congested with heavy equipment and cars for well-meaning outsiders who just want to help. But tornado victims say they know all of Utah is behind them.
There's nothing better than helping someone that needs it.